Behind every new technology, diagnostic tool, protocol, or technique in cattle health is a real-world problem that someone set out to solve. The Bovine Vet Podcast talks with veterinarians, researchers, and industry professionals, putting these innovations to work to improve outcomes in the field. The best tools are those that help make the best decisions for clients and their cattle. Here's your host, Bovine Veterinarian Editor, Andrea Bedford.
Welcome to the Bovine Vet Podcast. This episode comes to you live from the floor of CattleCon 2026 in Nashville. While the energy at the conference was incredible, I was on a mission to cut through that noise. This episode brings you a series of rapid-fire interviews with the companies behind the latest pharmaceuticals, tech, and equipment. I'm asking the big question: how will these new products actually impact your daily veterinary practice? Let's head to the trade show floor and find out. I'm here with Steve Schramm of Solvet. Steve, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name's Steve Schramm. I work with the Solvet team, help them with the marketing and positioning in the United States. Solvet's a Canadian company out of Calgary, Canada, a family-owned business owned by a husband and wife, a scientist that were at the university, and they got tired of things not getting commercialized that were developed there. So they broke off and started a company about 15 years ago. But their whole purpose for veterinarians was to provide tools that are unmet needs. And also animal welfare has always been a passion of Barb and Merle Olson, of how there are ways we can take the needle away and how can we make things more convenient and simple and more pain-free for the animal. So Solvet started that business about 15 years ago and is very successful. They're the 7th largest animal health company in Canada, very successful in all of a cattle, dairy market, swine market, and so forth. So about 2.5 years ago, they contacted me. I did some consulting, and they asked me if I could help them enter the U.S. market. How do we get into the U.S. market? Can you help us with distribution? I used to be CEO of AgriLabs for 23 years, and then ran North and South America for another company, or Norbrook. And so their first product they brought into the market was Lighhousen. And you may have heard about that. That's an impregnated Cheerio band for castration for cattle. So they launched that at AABP about 2 years ago, just with the small calf band, for 250 pounds and less. And so as they kept going along, they had other products for calcium boluses for dairy and VitaFirst. And then I have a company called Cornerstone Animal Health that finds products that are very unique, and there's a need in the market as well, and license those products in. And then we've given Solvet the marketing rights to the CattleCon product that we're talking about today.
Yeah.
So this is our launch. We launched in Canada in October.
Okay.
They did the Solvet company, and we also launched a product called Equine Zen. That's a calming product for equine as well. But CattleCon, this is our first coming out party here at the National Cattlemen's Convention, and we're getting product into distribution now and getting a chance to talk to people like yourself about the benefits of the product.
Hey, that's exciting. Congratulations on the launch.
Thanks.
So can you tell me a bit more about CattleCon?
Yeah, so CattleCon is a calming product. It's a pheromone combination of 2 pheromones. So you have bovine maternal appeasing substance is one, and that's a product that's been developed before and another company had in the market. Then we take a calming pheromone that works in all species, and we combine it together to have a patented product. And that is a more fast-acting pheromone, and the other first ones of the maternal appeasing are more of a sustainable product. So we really feel like we have a dual action approach to the product. But pheromones are really new to the cattle industry. We didn't think we'd see someone put some substance on the head of a cow and to calm them down. But today, in today's environment, you look at 2 major things: is whenever we can reduce stress on an animal, you're going to have better immunity, you're going to get them on feed, you're going to have better feed efficiency and performance. So wherever you're at in the cycle of the cattle or the dairy industry, with young calves that are getting weaned, they're a stressful period, this is a great time to use a product like CattleCon. But also we see the beef and dairy industry, the beef on dairy calves, which is obviously helped our beef industry with supplying product to the consumer. That's a real good use too, as these calves are pulled away from the mama cow and they're very young, is again to calm them down and not have the stress on them as they're trying to get going early on life, and transportation and so forth like that. We also see the product being used in embryo transfer and AI. Again, if you can reduce the stress of an animal, you're going to have increased fertility rates, in pregnant cows. So there's multiple places that Cattlezen can be used in the beef processing part of it, but also in the dairy industry. So we're excited to bring this product to market. One of the key advantages is we have the two pheromones that work and reduce the cortisol levels and adrenaline. That's when cattle get under stress, and you look at the veterinarian, how do we manage this? This is a tool that can help reduce the cortisol and the adrenaline, which increases the ability to eat better and so forth in immunity. But you have the two pheromones. We also have a 5 ml dose that's a higher concentrate than some of the other products on the market, and you only have to administer it in one spot above the muzzle. And so it's a very easy thing to use. It's more concentrated, and it's we've had some very early results on the product in Canada and had some trials there. We see very, very good performance on the animal. So it's really a tool that can be used in a lot of different places.
So I'm curious about how fast acting is this? Like, when would you apply this leading into a stress event?
Yeah, so like when you're weaning calves and working them through the chute and doing things to them, this would be a great time to do it. It usually lasts for several days. The product does, but it acts pretty fast. I mean, basically, you're putting it above the muzzle of the cow, and it stimulates the olfactory reflex in the brain of the cow, which again reduces the cortisone level and stress if they're calm. So it acts pretty quickly. You're going to use it whenever you're working cattle or have a stressful situation. And we're starting to see more people use it on transportation just to keep them calm while they're transporting on a truck. So and I think, honestly, this is a brand new category for animal health. It's not a pheromone category, is not anything that's been used very often for cattle. So we see a really good opportunity for more and more people to use it. As we had people come by the booth today, some people knew of the competitive products, some people did not even know these things were available. So it's really getting people to try the product and see how they feel. And we're trying to add more performance results to it as well, as far as benefits, derived benefits from using this product, and seeing how that equates to dollars and cents.
So this is the launch in the U.S., but you said it's been out in Canada since October?
Just in October, yeah.
How has the adoption been in Canada?
It's been fantastic in Canada. The people, there have been people that have used a competitive product, have used ours, that see just as much of benefits as the other product, and then there's new users that are using it and seeing the visual effect. I mean, when you get it, it's really trying to see, is that animal calmer. And I think one of the key things also today is just the cattle handling and animal welfare and the safety for the people handling the cattle. So if you got a calmer animal, you really reduce the risk of working cattle and being around them and sorting them and so forth. So I think that's a key thing that you really can't put a dollars and cents to all the time, but it's the right thing to do to make sure not only the cattle handler is safe, but the cattle are safe. So we're excited about that. And also it fits into the Solvet company's animal welfare story with the LIDA bands that you went castration. Now we have all 4 sizes, so we can go from baby calves to 700-800 pound bulls if you need to. And we have very good data on that of showing how that it equates to dollars and cents and a return on investment. So really, when you look at Solvet, like I mentioned early on in our conversation, the passion of the founders and the owners was really to take the needle away and take the pain away. And they have a VitaFirst product that's selenium and vitamins that you give day one to dairy, to baby calves, again, versus an injection of vitamin E or selenium. So it fits really well in with the whole story of animal welfare that the company is founded on.
So how do you see this fitting into a veterinarian's daily practice, or how do you see a veterinarian speaking with a producer about using this product?
Yeah, so I think the veterinarian looks at their customer base, if it's cow-calf, if it's backgrounders, or even the dairy industry veterinarian, the dairy practitioners. I think it's a tool that they can explain to their producers. We now have this available. You may want to look at trying it in this situation. Just a simple example we see in the dairy industry where it's being used is trimming hooves. So the person trimming their hooves will administer this to calm the animal down while they're doing it. We see dairies being trained, first calf heifers to go into the milk parlor, calm them down to get them trained to go in there. So there's uses like that just seem very simple, but that's where it can be fit. So if I'm a veterinarian, I think you have a tool that you can present to the producers of, here's another thing when you're weaning you should consider that really is going to reduce the stress. And we'll continue to do research as a company to see if we can find benefits when you transport animals, and make sure that they're calmer. And what does that mean when they arrive and they're not as stressed as you're working them the first time, especially long haul animals. So I think there's a tool that veterinarians can talk about, saying, hey, you may want to consider using this and trying this in that situation.
Right. So is that research something you guys do in-house?
Yeah, actually we find a lot of different partners. We have research ongoing right now with practicing veterinarians. So some veterinarians have found out about our product and said, hey, can I work with you on this set of cattle and see what I see on it and see what kind of results. And some are doing weight gain, some are doing, heart rate, cortisol levels, things like that. So we will have some studies that Solvet has conducted in Canada with some early adopters up there that we'll see published. We'll have some published research probably in the next 30 days on some on wean calves and also beef on dairy calves. So we'll continue to do that as a company. We'll continue to do research and find collaborative practicing veterinarian, but also universities. We have some universities that a lot of students and grad students are going, this would be a really good project for me to do for my PhD or whatever. And so we try to work with them. Dr. Doug Shanes is our veterinarian that works with a lot of the universities. And then we'll also do some of our own research with independents, depending on the complexity that's needed. Like we just conducted a study in Canada where you had 250 head of beef on dairy calves when they were released. So there's 250 in each group. So you had separate barns. So they didn't have the competitive product. They didn't smell that and think there's effects. So we had to do things that way. Not everyone has those kind of operations to do it. So you got to go to a research facility to do that.
Makes sense. Yeah. I really like the idea of the product and the idea of it being kind of multifactorial, right? Like you're helping out the animal, helping them feel better through a stressful event, but then also in turn, you're helping the person handling that animal, making it a safer situation for them. I think that's really great.
Yeah. No, we're excited and we appreciate the opportunity to visit with you about it with your readers and so forth. We're going to continue to be visible, throughout the spring and in the fall, and we'll continue to get research out on the product and really make sure people are aware of what's available and how they can use it.
Awesome.
And it's other thing, I guess the last thing I would say, Andrew, is that we sell this product through just traditional distribution. So if you're a veterinarian buying from an animal health distributor, you'll be able to get it that way. If you're a producer that buys online from a catalog, for example, we'll have it in those systems as well. So we plan to have this broadly available through just traditional animal health suppliers that customers usually buy from.
That sounds great, Steve.
All right.
Thank you so much for sitting down and chatting with me. I'm sitting here with Greg Ekerley of Novonesis. Greg, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, so I'm Dr. Greg Ekerley with Novonesis. Novonesis, it's potato. And so I'm based out of Denton, Texas. I'm a technical service manager for the company working in the ruminant space, predominantly in the commercial feed yard and cow-calf sectors in the western half in Canada.
Great. How long have you been with Novonesis?
Actually, I signed my contract with them 2 years ago at NCBA. I'm celebrating my 2-year anniversary here this week.
Awesome. Can you give us an idea of who Novonesis is as a company?
Yeah, so Novonesis is the birth of two companies coming together. So they also merged 2 years ago when I signed on board. It was Christian Hansen and Novozymes. Christian Hansen being the leader in bacterial enzymes and silage inoculant portfolios, and then Novozymes being the leader in enzyme production globally. They came together and merged our portfolios across multi-species.
So what kind of products do you have in your lineup?
So predominantly on the cow-calf and feedlot sectors, we specialize in direct-fed microbials or probiotics. So we also have a full line of silage inoculants as well to support that industry to increase efficiency and product gains.
Awesome. Do you have any new product or any product you'd like to highlight here?
Yeah, so one of the things that we just had a meeting on was our Bovacillus product. It's a 2-strain bacillus. We have some interesting information on that product that I think is helping the cow-calf sector. As we incorporate that product into the dry cow or pre-calving period and hopefully throughout the year, we're seeing an increase in IgG titers in the calves born from those dams that have been supplemented with our Bovacillus product, leading to a better uptake in immunity as well as an improvement in colostrum quality as well. So we're really getting those calves off to a great start. So their growth rates and potential is optimized. And that's all just coming from maternal feeding of the product. And so when we look at that, helping control illness and things like that, really just push those animals a little bit better, set them up for success, and things like that.
I'm going to ask you kind of a sciencey question. So what is the link or the mechanism between getting a probiotic and an increased immune response?
Yeah, so that's a great question, and that's one of those where the mechanisms behind it. So when we look at that, we're improving on the blood metabolites through the impact of the bacillus having a positive impact on hind gut environment, so microflora. And then as those translate and keep the maternal system healthier, we're able to pass that along, and then with that improvement in colostrum from either a transference of positive metabolites and things like that. So there, we're able to push those systems a little bit better by having a healthier dam microflora or a more normal microflora in the gut, controlling that innate immune response there, which is transferring into the dam. We see that also in sows and pigs as well.
Okay. Yeah. So when would be the best point to offer this product
to
an animal?
So ideally, I look at it as a good product for year-round supplementation, because these also secrete a lot of enzymes to help with digestibility of forages, and especially as we're looking at this year being dry, harder forages to improve on that. At minimum, I'd probably look at about 90 days pre-calving, and then carrying out to about 45 to 90 days post-calving. So about 180-day time span. There would be my ideal recommendation for this, just because we're capturing a heavy stress on the dam, heavy stress on the calf as well.
How has adoption of this product been with producers?
It's been going pretty steady. I mean, we're picking up growth there. I think one of it is it's our largest global product in our portfolio. For the domestic market, we're growing that business pretty steadily. It's one of those where we do have some areas for uptake as well, and so it's been good growth for us.
Now, speaking specifically to the veterinarian audience, how do you see this product working into their day-to-day practice?
Yeah, I think one of those, when we look at that, when we do health programs and things, is with those IgA, IgG titers and things like that, and getting a more holistic immune response there. When we look at vaccination protocols and programs that a veterinarian would recommend, if we can have a better response from an innate system to allow those programs that they're putting together to help their programs function better, would be good for them.
And say a veterinarian wanted to recommend this to a producer, what would you recommend? How would you recommend they approach them?
Yeah, so if they wanted to recommend the program, I think one of those, as a nutritional consultant by trade, and then working with a veterinarian, working together would be a good way to get it in through a feed meal type product, because it is a feed through probiotic. So incorporating it into a mineral program or a cube program, or any way that the cow is going to consume it on a regular basis, would be a good way for the veterinarians to help work with nutritionists to recommend that, to bolster that program and give a more integrated approach to management, rather than segmented of just we do health and I do nutrition. Right. So branching those together, because they are tied together, really would be a good benefit for the veterinarians and nutritionists alike.
Great. Now, I know I didn't say I was going to ask you this, but is there anything new and upcoming with the Winnie system that you can speak on?
Yeah, I think one of the things that we do have is always on the frontier of looking for new things. I think we have some interesting things when it comes to our enzyme portfolio that we might be working on to branch into the ruminant space with our merger, and some of the things that we didn't have before at Christian Hansen. And we're always working on new products, new formulas. I say new formulas, new strains of probiotics that are being constantly tested and things like that, to help figure out what's going to be the next good one to add into the portfolio.
Did you do your own in-house research?
We do our own in-house research. We contract that with commercial research organizations or universities. Our product development team over in Denmark does a lot of in-house research as well, to determine what strains are going to be what's going to be next, or the enzyme work. So that way we do proof of concept first, then we upscale that through a research deal. And we continue to do research after product launch. As of right now, I have 3 different research trials taking place to keep proving our proof of concept on our probiotics in a large scale arena.
That's great. Awesome. Well, thank you, Greg, so much for sitting down with me today. I really appreciate you taking the time.
Not a problem. Thank you, Andrea.
I'm here with Dustin Hesman of Central States Testing. Dustin, would you like to introduce yourself and your company?
Yeah, like you said, I am Dustin Hesman, president of Central States Testing. We are a diagnostic company initially focused on cattle. We started in 2005 in response to some research with some biotechnology companies.
Okay, and how long have you been there the whole time?
No, my father started it though. So off and on through high school, I was in the lab running tests. But after I went to college, started working for another marketing firm, I came back to take over the family company. So.
Oh, that's nice. Is your father still there?
He's still there, kind of.
Kind
He's kind of off doing his own thing. You know, he retired his vet clinic last year. So whenever he's not out in Colorado, he's in the office working a little bit.
Nice. So do you have a new or up-and-coming highlight or product that you'd like to talk about today?
Yeah, so last year we came out with our shoot side pregnancy test. This allows producers to quickly find pregnancy status on their cows. With just 2 drops of blood, you can have results in 5 to 10 minutes.
That's really quick.
Yep.
And 2 drops of blood should be easy to get.
Pretty easy.
How have you seen the adoption in the field?
It's been very interesting. You know, initially I thought it was going to be for those, you know, kind of mom and pa producers that are extremely rural in an area with not many veterinarians, but we've sold it to clients that do a bunch of AI and repro stuff, dairies, some ranches that are a lot larger than I thought would be using it.
So did you guys do all the research leading into the development of this product?
We aided in it. And so what we're really good at is, because my father was a consulting vet for feed yards and some larger cow-calf operations, we have a lot of access to samples whenever it comes to research. And so we're able to provide those samples, kind of work with another biotechnology company to develop these tests.
That's great. How are you hoping that veterinarians can help with producers using this test or encouraging them to use your product?
You know, this is one thing my father and I talked about. Like I said, he was a large animal veterinarian, and we have a declining number of them. So the vets that are here are maybe short-staffed, don't have time to visit everybody. Or there's some producers that are very rural, and there's not a vet they can call to come in. And so for those vets that are there, if they don't have time to run to, you know, visit producer Joe to either palpate or ultrasound, you know, they can give them these tests that they can run on site.
So really it could speed up their efficiency through the day by allowing producers to do the pre-check checks for themselves?
Yes, ma'am. Yep.
Yeah. Right. That sounds great. Did you have anything else that you'd like to share about either Central States testing or any of your products?
So we have a new test currently in the validation stage right now. It is essentially a shoot side preg test, but for equine. So the same concept, just 2 drops of blood, you can have results in 5 to 10 minutes. Everything you need to run the test, including needle, syringe, blood tube, is included with the test.
And how does the development of that differ from development of the cattle side?
So it's interesting. We're targeting a different protein. And so you kind of have to learn like what concentration is best for detection. You know, the time at which you test post-breeding is different. And horse blood has more red blood cells than bovine. And so, you know, you have to work with different diluent levels to get the wicking across the test efficiently.
So how is progress going on in that development?
So far, the test is 100% accurate.
That's great.
The problem we were having was that wicking thing I was talking about. So we're working with different levels of dilution in the test to keep accuracy at 100%, but be able to efficiently wick that blood across.
Because you want to stick with the 2 drops.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's a good selling feature for sure.
It's pretty simple.
All right. Well, thank you so much for sitting down with me today. I really appreciate learning about your company and your product.
Yeah, of course. Thank you.
I'm here with Kenton Carlson of Neogen. Kenton, good morning.
Good morning.
Would you like to introduce yourself?
Certainly. Yes, I reside in Bismarck, North Dakota, and my role at Neogen is the bovine production specialist.
Speaking of Neogen, what kind of products do they offer that could help veterinarians?
Neogen has a wide line of products. We're celebrating 95 years with Ideal Instruments this year, so that's a highlight in a broad portfolio of tools and instruments there that help veterinarians and cattle producers and swine producers and beyond that as well, right, for a variety of livestock. We also are in the genomics business. The Identity Beef brand might be recognizable to practitioners, and then a large portfolio of pesticides and different products available for cattle producers to reduce lice and fly infestations as well, for instance.
Amazing. Now, do you have anything that you would like to highlight today that is maybe seasonal or new for Neogen?
Well, with calving about to ramp up, across most of the country for those spring calvers. We have several good options, I think, that will help veterinarians. And with this colder weather, oftentimes there's a resurgence or a big population boost of lice. And certainly we don't want lice impacting the health and well-being of cows that are soon to calf. So producers and veterinarians may think about treating them now before that becomes a problem. The Prozac line of products, and in particular Protectus, is a newer boron that we offer, which gives season-long control. In particular, has an advantage in syringeability, meaning that the applicator fills 7 times faster in cold weather compared to the leading brand with less force. So I know veterinarians who are working cattle almost every day, right? Gets to be burdensome and hard on their hands. So they'll appreciate the ease of flow of that product. But also it's a triple active ingredient, so we'll do an excellent job of controlling lice. And maybe next spring or next summer is also a good product for flies.
Are there any other new products that you'd like to speak about today?
Well, last year at NCBA, we did launch the bovine congestive heart failure DNA test. And so we've done several things there, and that's continued to gain traction and is of particular interest to veterinarians. Veterinarians get involved in diagnostics in the feed yard, and there's been an increase in late fed deaths. And so there's a lot of interest in that product, and how can we identify those cattle that are of greater risk? So that would go all the way back to the cow-calf producer or the seed stock producer, identifying lines of cattle or particular cattle that can still offer the performance but a lower risk for bovine congestive heart failure. There's certainly a genomic aspect to this disease, as well as management things that have created more of a challenge. So obviously cattle producers are always looking out for the welfare of their stock and working with their veterinarians to ensure that their herds are healthy. Neogen is offering a way that we can look beyond the hide and see what the genomics are impacting these herds.
So with that genomics testing, have you developed an index that kind of grades a cow on their risk?
Right, and that's one of the things we've updated it several times, even within the last year, and we're now actually providing those results in an EPD, and so they can look and see, are there these cattle in the 10% lowest risk? Are they average? Or maybe their herd, to their surprise, is one of that is most endangered of, and then certainly if cattle feeders are aware of that, it may change how they feed or how they manage their terminal endpoints as well.
Yeah, that's great. So speaking, I guess, generally, how do you hope that Neogen can most help a veterinarian working in the field?
Well, it's interesting. When I speak with veterinarians, they're oftentimes overwhelmed by our portfolio, that they're familiar with our brands like Ideal Instruments, maybe Dr. Frank's calf puller. They've had to go out and help the producer late at night. They're like, rancher, you really should have one of these. You could do this yourself.
Right.
So there's a lot of those kinds of products that we offer for veterinarians, and improving food safety all the way from pasture to plate with our D3 needles, the Prima Shot syringes, for instance. So we have tools that will really help veterinarians go better each and every time that they're working cattle. Producers most trust their veterinarian for advice and protocols, and we at Neogen offer a whole portfolio of the Prozac line. So as they think also about spring, we have several products in the Prozac line, like StandGuard, that would be excellent for fly control as well. So there's a whole line there that veterinarians, and we want to partner with veterinarians that they can set up protocols to avoid lice, ticks, flies impacting producers' operations.
So how about relating to hot topics here at NCBA?
Well, cattle producers and veterinarians that I've talked to are no doubt in a good mood here. It's good times for the cattle industry, but we all know that's not going to last forever. And so the sessions that I attended was very much a focus is how can we ensure that we're being the most efficient and productive for years to come. And talking about selecting females that are going back in the herd, making choices today that are going to impact you in the future. We at Neogen, with the Identity Beef DNA profile, can help producers ensure that those heifers they're selecting going back in the herd excel in traits like heifer pregnancy and stayability. Will that cow be in the herd at age 6 and having 4 productive years? That's part of the maternal index that we offer, as well as carcass traits and 17 traits overall. So as technology advances, Neogen is offering tools to help producers today in the good times, but also ensure or help them ensure profitability in the future as well.
So
It was really interesting to listen to epigenetics. So genetics by themselves can only be part of the solution. It's also the management, and we want to be part of that solution.
So I guess really an emphasis on choosing great replacement heifers.
Well, I always say the producer's the expert. They know their herd best. They also know their goals. But there's things they can't see from the hide, and there's also biases of seeing their cattle every day. So we can come in and help them with knowing what's under the hide, what's the genetics that's going to be passed on, and getting them one step ahead into the future. Also, teaming up with them and really looking at their goals of their operation. Maybe they may need to make a turn, or they're going in the right direction, but we can help them get there.
Do you care to introduce yourself?
Absolutely. So my name is Rodrigo Bicalho. I'm a veterinarian, and I am the CEO of the founder and CEO of Diagnostics and Biologicals, which is the maker of a product called Therapies.
So you've been with Farah for...
I've been with Farah since Farah was born.
Since the very beginning.
Since the very beginning. So the company is 12 years old. I founded the company. So I'm originally from Brazil. I've been in the US for longer than I was in Brazil, actually, because as soon as I finished vet school, I married my wife, which is a veterinarian as well. We're both partners in the company. She runs the company with me. And then I went to Cornell University in upstate New York, did a residency, did a PhD in epidemiology, and I was hired as a professor in the Department of Diagnostic Sciences. And I stayed on faculty there for 13 years and founded the company when I was still a professor at Cornell, actually. And it was around the diagnostic technology for dairy cattle. And the name Farah is basically the initials of my 2 sons. My older son is Felipe, and he is a partner in the company as well, and he works with us. Felipe is 22, soon to be 23. And my younger son, Rafael, which is he's finishing up high school and going to Texas A&M for his bachelor's degree as well.
Oh, that's really lovely. I like
Yep.
that a lot. So the idea behind founding the company, do the range of products that Farah offers reflect the research you were doing at Cornell?
Initially, yes. Yeah. So we have this line of diagnostic tests that was developed by us, by me, when I was at Cornell. We licensed that from Cornell. We have the vaccine technology as well that we're developing, which is also patented. I'm the inventor of the patent, but Cornell is the owner of the patent. And we license that from Cornell as well. So I pay royalties both on the diagnostics and the vaccine technologies to Cornell. But during the pandemic, I decided that I was going to take a leap of faith and leave academia and dedicate fully to our business. And I thought it was a best decision that I could take at that moment. We picked up the company and the family and moved to Texas, College Station, Texas. Mm-hmm. And we basically, long story short, we multiplied our yearly revenue by 20 since we moved to Texas. We created a very strong product and brand that has worldwide recognition, which is Therapies today. We went from having 4 employees in the company to having 45 employees in the company. We're finished building a state-of-the-art manufacturing plus headquarter facility in College Station now. We're about to move into that new facility, which is going to be the 3rd facility we built in College Station. All of that in 5 years. So it's been an incredible ride.
That sounds like a whirlwind.
Yeah, it's been crazy, but very rewarding. It's strengthened even more our family. You know, I always thought that I wanted to get into business to be able to give my sons an opportunity to work with me, which is incredibly gratifying because you know, I get to go to work and work with people that I love. Not only my sons, but every employee that we have, or I consider them as part of our family, and it's very gratifying. And that family keeps growing, so it's been good.
Oh, that's really nice.
Yeah.
So we're here at CattleCon, and what new products are you most happy with or most excited for?
So our main technology that we keep developing, that we keep learning more about, is therapies. Therapies is a very unique pheromone. So pheromones are magical chemical communications between animals. Animals communicate magically through chemicals. We don't. Humans don't. We are influenced by odors a lot, but not by pheromones. Pheromones is an animal thing. That's why we don't understand it quite well. But what therapies does is when it stimulates a cluster of neurons in the nose of the animal that is termed the vomeronasal organ. That cluster of neurons sends a message neurologically to the back of their brains. It's a very a primitive part of the brain. It's our lower brain. It's our reptile brain. It's our snake brain that controls our impulses, our emotions. So when you get angry and you want to reach over and choke somebody, that's your lower brain taking over your rational brain. So that's the part of the brain that is influenced by this pheromone. And what it does is it basically tells that reptilian brain to slow down, calm down. It decreases threat perception, it decreases anxiety, it decreases fear, it decreases aggression. One of the greatest things that the product really delivers is the decrease of social stress, which is very common for animals. So when you put animals of different sources together, they feel threatened because their pecking order is very specific. So this is basically a topical treatment that you give to animals that makes them calm down. It goes way beyond calming down. It's truly an anxiety medication for cattle. And the end result of that, when cattle are prey species, right?
Yeah.
So they have 1,000 reasons to be afraid and anxious. They evolved surviving predation. So we do a lot of things that we have to do with cattle, and they feel anxious, and that initiates the cascade that will generate the release of two hormones, adrenaline and cortisol. When they release adrenaline and cortisol in their bloodstream, those two hormones will put them into an alert status. They're basically going to prioritize their immediate survivability. But that is very damaging for the animals because they don't need to be afraid of predation. We're not, you know, when you're handling them, we're not, you know, going to hurt them. But when they produce those two hormones, they will take energy away from their immune system. They'll take resources away from growing, from, you know, making beef or making milk, and they're going to prioritize their fears, their fight and flight reflex. That's where this medication, this treatment, this technology is so revolutionary, because we know when they're going to be afraid, we know when they're going to be stressed, so we treat them, we decrease that stress, we decrease that release of cortisol and adrenaline, and therefore we improve their immune system, make them better fit to survive the challenges of diseases, bacteria, and viruses. But not only that, we make them more productive. They convert feed to gain better, they gain more weight and all of that. So that's the the elevator pitch of what the technology does.
So kind of all because they're putting less energy towards the stressors, or and can put it into
absolutely
actual,
so when
productivity.
Think about this. If you're concerned that you're going to be eaten by a tiger, your number one priority
is not being
eaten by a tiger.
Yeah.
Right? Your body is going to be 100% dedicated to surviving that tiger attack. And cattle and pigs and chickens and small ruminants, you name it, they're all prey species, and they're terrified of predation, as they should be. That's what kept them alive, right? They survived predation. So every time they perceive whatever we're doing to them as a predatory act, they're going to be thinking metabolically. Their resources are going to be all to immediate survival. That means that the energy that should go to the immune system is diverted. Not only that, cortisol turns off the immune system. So we have two types of, well, grossly dividing it. So we have what we call the innate immune system, and then you have the acquired immune system. The innate immune system is, your macrophages, your neutrophils, your epithelial cells. It's a big part of your body, and it's basically keeping your body from being destroyed by constant attack of bacteria, constant attack of parasites, constant attack of viruses. But it consumes a tremendous amount of energy, right? Now, if you're being attacked by a tiger, you're not concerned about surviving bacterial infections. You're concerned about surviving different priorities. So these animals are like, I'm sorry, innate immune system, but we're going to shut you down, and we're going to prioritize our energy resources to survive the target attack. And that's what these cattle are doing. But it's tricky because what's going to actually kill them is the bacteria infection, is the viral infection. The number one killer of beef cattle in this country is pneumonia. Right. And it's especially because of that, because cattle are on fight and flight mode all the time. They're thinking, I've been caught, a big predator is going to kill me. I'm going to divert resources from my immune system, lower the guard, and the bacteria, which is ever present, have a party.
Yeah, take advantage of it.
And that's why they'll have pneumonia, and they'll eventually succumb to the disease because they're not prepared to fight the disease.
That makes sense. Now, as far as the product, how is it applied, or how do you use it?
So it's a topical application in the face of the animal. It's very unique, right? Because everything in veterinary medicine is even given through a needle, vaccines, antibiotics, anti-inflammatories. We have some dewormers. They're topical, but you apply on the skin and it goes through the skin and then reaches the blood flow circulation of the animal. This is acting locally. So we don't want it to be absorbed, and it's not absorbed. So we're going to put 5 mL above the nose of the animal. And that's because the vomeronasal organ that we're trying to stimulate sits on the tip of the nose, almost on the outside and the top of the nose. So that product gets assimilated. When you treat animals with therapies, you see them wrinkling their nose, and they're taking that product in all the time. They're like, ooh, this is a pheromone. They're almost like, you can see that they're getting affected by the treatment, slowly, constantly. So it's just 5 mL on the top of the nose, 5 mL behind the head. Behind the head is because the product goes into the oil glands in the hair follicles, and it accumulates in the oil gland, and then it gets slowly released over time. And then that's why therapies last for 14 days, for at least 14 days. That's how much we have followed them. Animals, improving the product to be in higher concentration in the skin. And there's a lot of those oil glands in the back of the head. That's why we put 5 mL to build a reservoir of pheromone there, and then another one in the top of the nose because we want it to go to action fast. So it's basically 2 squirts, one on the nose, one on the back of the head. We have this screen here at the booth that shows how the product is applied. It's very easy, very fast, and non-invasive.
So at what point, when would you advise applying
to
this?
do it?
Yeah.
All right. So if you think about ranching, cow-calf operations, right? So you have moments. Cattle are not all the time stressed. Actually, 99% of the time they're fine. If you leave them alone, they're not gonna, they're good. But every time we do things to them, we stress them, and every time we stress them, we set them back. We decrease performance. We put them at risk of developing diseases. So think about the ranch life, right? So the calves are born uh, right now. The calves are being born all over the place, and then in the springtime, we're going to brand the calves. We're going to tag them. We're going to castrate the males. That's very stressful. It's painful. Again, the prey predator thing, right? So if you rope a calf and you drag it, the calf is thinking, I've been caught by a predator. They perceive us as predators. So that's going to release a tremendous amount of cortisol and adrenaline. That's a great moment to apply therapies. Therapies decreases pain perception, because when you put the part of the brain, the lizard brain that we talked about, that's the cerebral amygdala and the hypothalamus, we downregulate that. We take their focus away from the procedure. Pain is a perception. Pain doesn't exist. Pain is an artifact of a creation of our brain, right? It's trying to protect our body. When you produce adrenaline, you hyper sensitize the neurological terminations of your body, because your body's telling you you're at risk. You need to be hyper sensitive, reactive to the environment. And not only that, but your cerebral acuity increases. Means your brain is hyper focused. So when you're stressed, afraid, under the effect of cortisol and adrenaline, particularly adrenaline, you're going to feel more pain. Just think about this when you go to the dentist and you've been traumatized by the dentist before, right? Just the sound of the instruments in the dental appointment will make you feel pain.
Yeah.
So when that touches your teeth, your tooth, you're already jumping, because adrenaline, you're like, it's telling you you're going to get hurt here, be careful, and your body gets hypersensitive. If you take an anxiety medication before you go to the dentist, you're going to decrease the release of adrenaline, you're going to decrease the release of cortisol, you're going to be relaxed, your body, you're going to be literally, your body, your tension is going to go down, and you're going to go through that dental appointment feeling a fraction of the pain, undergoing the exact same procedures. It's because your brain is not going to be hyper focused on the procedure, and you're not going to perceive that procedure, the pain associated with that procedure, as much. Cattle is exactly the same. So when we're doing things to cattle, and every time we handle them, they experience pain, right? Every time they go through the chute, they're injected, they're tagged, they're castrated, there's something. So they always associate that with pain. That's the dentist for them. So that's the moment that we use therapies. We decrease the buildup of traumatic memories. So the next time he goes to the dentist, or that animal goes to the dentist or to the chute,
it's a little easier.
It's a lot easier.
Yeah.
Because the last time was like, everything was fine. I took my anxiety medication. I was not tensed. It was actually a good experience, and you didn't build traumatic memories with that procedure. Next time the cattle goes through the chute, you're not going to be as hyper focused and afraid and stressed. So that's why there is some of our clients have been using the product for longer. Every time the animals go through the chute, they get treated.
Yeah.
Because the chute is traumatic, regardless. Every time an animal goes through the chute, whether it is for vaccination, in case of feedlots, you're doing metaphylaxis, you're doing implants, you just treat them every time they go through the chute. So
how do you see this product helping veterinarians on a day-to-day basis?
So two ways, right? So veterinarians are the gatekeepers of information, and veterinarians are the key opinion leaders that are trusted together with nutritionists, by feedlot owners, by ranchers, by stockers and backgrounders, by the dairy industry, by everybody. So um, this is not a scripted product. This is an over-the-counter product, but everybody will look up to the veterinarians to say, hey, have you revealed the science behind therapies? And it is the job of veterinarians to say yes. You know, they have whatever 12 published papers in reputable scientific articles. When you use this way, it increases carcass weight. When you use this way, it decreases mortality, blah, 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 blah. So that's the important thing. So because they are looked up by everybody in the beef industry and in the dairy industry as key opinion leaders, they need to understand the product, review the product, and make recommendations based on the science behind the product. That's one thing that is very important. I practiced veterinary medicine in upstate New York for a long time, and I wish I had therapies. You know, I have done thousands of castrations. I have done dozens of thousands of reproductive exams, obstetrical procedures, C-sections, and all of these procedures, my patients would have benefited if I used therapies. You know, just think about it. Um, if I could decrease the anxiety of my patients when I'm going to do a displaced double mesom surgery or a C-section or an obstetrical procedure in a cow or a castration, you name it, or dehorning, anything that you're working with animals as a veterinarian, therapies could be helping you, because if you have an animal that is less stressed, less afraid, less anxious, they're less likely to hurt you. And believe me, veterinarians get hurt all the time because we're working with, 2,000-pound animals, and again, they perceive us as predators, and we're trying to do procedures to them that they don't want us to do.
Yeah.
So if I can decrease that anxiety, I'm going to have a patient that is more willing to cooperate with us, and that's good. So there's just two things. You know, you can use it in practice. When you're actually doing procedures with animals, and you're going to be decreasing the stress of the procedure, improving recovery of the animals, making an animal cooperate with you better. But most importantly, us as veterinarians, we want to advance the industry. We want to be, they're the gatekeepers of animal welfare. They're the gatekeepers of good, use of medication, and particularly antibiotics. So the industry look up to them for advice, and we work with veterinarians all the time to bring all the science that we have done, evaluating the product in different uses, so that they can be the ones that communicate that to their clients on our behalf.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like it could be a win-win, so like an easier experience for a vet working with an animal, and then also an easier experience for that animal
Absolutely.
being worked with.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So again, it's definitely a win-win, and the producer wins as well.
Yeah.
Because you're going to have stress is a foundational cause of most diseases that we have that we have left in production medicine. The easy ones that we could prevent with vaccination or even eradicate, which in the US we have eradicated a long list of diseases, we have taken care of them. The ones that are here to stay are caused by stress or aggravated by stress. So that I say that stress is a foundational cause of all maladies in cattle and swine production. If it's not a primary cause, it's an aggravating cause. It's associated with making the problem worse. That's why therapies the science in this technology will never end, because stress, there's so many different stressors and so many different opportunities to use the product and prevent things and understand what's happening, that we keep, and I'm a researcher. I was a professor for 13 years, a researcher. I published 150 scientific articles over the years. So we invested an obscene amount of money into research. So, and we're going to keep investing, because I think that's our best marketing. Our audience are veterinarians and nutritionists. They're highly educated and incredibly intelligent, and they're data-driven, they're science-driven. So I want to cater to them and say, hey, we have done all this work and demonstrated the benefit of the product in all these different ways. And they're, once they're a believer in the product, they'll recommend the product to technology to their clients.
Yeah.
So that's our number one marketing strategy, actually, is to enhance knowledge about the product through academic university trials. So
No, I think you're exactly right. And I think that's really important. Like, veterinarians are science-based, and seeing published science is important.
very important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this has been a great conversation. I want to thank you for sitting down with me today, and I hope you have a really great time here at CattleCon.
Thank you for the invitation. This has been a great opportunity, and it was a pleasure. Thank you so much.
You're listening to a special episode of the Bovine Vet Podcast, coming to you from the floor of CattleCon 2026 in Nashville. I spoke with a variety of companies about their new products to see how they could impact your daily veterinary practice. Let's get back to the floor.
I'm here with Ellie Terar of ReproScan. Hi, Ellie.
Hey, nice to meet you.
Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Ellie Terar. I run ReproScan Ultrasounds. I've been with the company since 2015. The company started, I don't know if you want me to get into a little bit about where ReproScan started, but
Yeah.
the company was started in Lethbridge, Alberta by two beef vets. So it kind of started there. And then in 2018, we moved the company to Winterset, Iowa. So our home office has been there. We've continued to grow, which has been awesome, but we are able to still keep that core, who we are, what we do, that simple, durable, affordable, but with cattle type roots. I tell everybody at ReproScan, we are cattle people doing ultrasound. My background was cow-calf operation in Colorado, and then my godmother is a rural mixed practitioner, so that's the world I grew up in. You had to be a little bit scrappy, you got to be a little bit creative in the way you do things, and as a company that's kind of been who we are, what we do, we keep things very simple and have fun with it, but we're also going to have the customer service that is who we are and what we do, because I was the customer on the side of it before I ever worked for the company. That's when we were looking for an ultrasound, we called everybody on Saturday morning to see who answered, because that's when we did the bulk of our preg checking. So that's how I ended up with an ultrasound, a ReproScan ultrasound at the clinic before I ever worked for them. So kind of fun.
I love that. Can you tell me a bit about kind of the range of the product range that ReproScan has?
Yeah, so ReproScan, we're going to focus on cattle as our core. Extension arm ultrasound is our main thing. We want to keep things very simple, durable, affordable. Goal is to have that excellent customer service and training. The product offerings, most of our cow-calf veterinarians are going to use, if they're doing largely beef cattle, they're going to use a fixed probe ultrasound. It's going to focus either on the XTC or our newer Apex machine. That machine's going to have a revamp of all the things that we know that has done really well, that's been out for many years, but it's going to have higher image quality, Wi-Fi out to an app, a few more features, a little bit more depth. So when you're doing those 5, 6, 7 monthers, they're down deep. It's a little bit more depth you can get out of your extension arm, a little bit more image quality for those under 30-day pregnancies, which is nice, but still keeps the interchangeable battery, the screen, that works great. We do offer linear probes as well as convex probes, so we do have some dairy veterinarians using it as well. Been a great product. We also have the Flex line, which is our rural mixed practitioner kind of machine. We call it the Practice Builder. It's a great machine to get started with. You can buy one probe, you can buy up to 5, but if you're doing, hey, I'm doing some cows, I want an extension arm. Hey, I'm doing dairy, I'm doing some equine, some small ruminant, you can get a mini extension arm. You've just got lots of options. So we see a ton of new grads and rural mixed practices buying it, and that way they can kind of customize it. It's not going to be your super high-end, ultra-detailed small animal machine. That's not what it's designed for. It's designed to be thrown in the vet truck. Hey, I need to see something. Let's check it out. It works well. And then if we need to refer it back to the clinic or go on, you have other options. So we kind of focus on that. Keeping things simple, monitors that just hang on the chute, that work out in the sunlight. We work really hard to do that. Otherwise, we kind of just stay true to who we are. That easy to use, easy to put together. That's kind of who we are and what we do.
That sounds great. I've heard you also do a lot in training and continuing continuing education?
We do. We actually do a lot with vet schools and new grads. And then we also offer 9 CE credit courses, particularly on the bovine side. So veterinarians that are looking to do extension arm ultrasound, start that for the first time, or arm in with aging, sexing, abnormalities. We do a lot of those all over the country. I think I get to go to California in a couple weeks, and then we'll have them in Iowa in February if anybody is interested. It'll be really fun, nice and cold. But we do them all over the country, which is a lot of fun. That's one of my favorite things to do is, okay, what tools can we give these veterinarians that can help grow their practice and help make them better and better at a skill that they can offer for their customers. So that's probably my favorite part of what I get to do is teach these courses and see you go to a conference and you get to see these vets that you got to know 5 years ago when they just got out of school. Like, oh yeah, we've become the premier fetal sexer in our area. Like, that's fun. It's a neat service to see grow.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
That's great. If you had maybe, what is the top thing that you hope, or how you hope veterinarians benefit from using Reaper Scan products?
That's a great question. I would say it's the extension arm. It's, hey, how, especially as so many practitioners are younger gals coming out, okay, how do we save people's bodies? How are you able to do the large volumes without putting the wear and tear on your body? You go look at veterinarians that are older and you ask them, hey, can you lift your arms above your head? All right, put your left arm above your head and then put it behind your back. Like, that can be a challenge. How do we keep wrists, elbows, shoulders from having surgeries, having to wear braces? The extension arm's a really neat tool. I also call it the equalizer because that extension arm is so long and narrow, you don't have to worry about the length of your arm or your height. You can use your technique and get creative and it doesn't wear people out as much. Or gals like, okay, when I was pregnant with my daughter, I did our heifers the day I was due because I could stand at the side of the chute. I wasn't put in danger. You're able to still do the preg checking without having to be behind the chute and very physically involved. So it's still an athletic skill. It's still something to learn, but it's a really neat tool that keeps people from just hurting themselves as much. So to me, I think that's the biggest thing that is really helpful is to see, okay, how do we help people not put the wear and tear on their bodies?
I think that's a good point. Is there anything else you'd like to share about Reaper Scan?
We do a demo program if people are curious. I always say, if you're looking, we will be, give us a call. We're happy to tell people, hey, what you're looking for in an ultrasound might not be what we're best at. So we're happy to pass you on to somebody else, but it's at least worth a discussion. And if you're curious about getting an ultrasound, learning how to do it, give us a call. We're here to help. That's what we do. We want to be a resource for people. I love the texts and emails I get of, hey, Ellie, what settings should I use for insert this species? I love those kind of things. Like, if you can give me a little bit of context, it's helpful. But that's what I think all ultrasound companies should be here, is a tool. Because veterinarians have so many things they have to do in the day. Trying to figure out how to work their ultrasound and set settings should not be one of them. That's what a really good company standing behind them should be for, in my opinion. So overall, I'd say give us a call if we can help. We'll do our best. If not, we'll try to point you in the direction.
That sounds great. Well, Ellie, thank you so much for sitting down and chatting with me today.
Of course.
Appreciate you sharing all the information.
Well, thank you, Andrea. I appreciate it.
I'm here with Nathan Yupa of TechMix. Nathan, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. Like she said, my name is Nathan Yupa. I'm the ruminant technical leader for TechMix. All that means is I get to be involved in research and development of new products and do a little bit of technical support, assisting our territory managers in the field as well. So get to wear a lot of different hats, and every day is a challenge, but there's lots of great opportunities out there as well.
Can you tell us a bit about TechMix as a company? What sort of products do you provide?
Yeah, yep. So TechMix is a company that is really focused on stress event solutions. I don't want to call us a nutritional company where we're making an ingredient or something of that nature that you're going to feed every single day. You're going to use us and our products at times of high stress when you need us, and you're going to take us out of that supplementation or diet when you don't have those stresses. So really trying to focus on the biology behind the stress and then develop a product to help the animal overcome that.
Do you do your own research?
Yes, yep. So we do our own research. We work with a lot of different university professors. We work with a lot of different farms to not only vet our products, but also, like I said, understand the problem, maybe dive a little deeper into the biology behind what is causation, or what is, maybe not getting fully overcome when we do try to provide an intervention during a stress period.
Nice. So I think there were a couple products that you wanted to highlight today.
Yeah. Yep.
Do you want to speak on the first one?
Sure. Yeah. We did launch 2 new products in 2025, or at the tail end of 2024, I should say. Both of those are using maternally derived bioactives from colostrum, but in different ways and different forms. The first one that I'll touch on is Replenish AB Plus. Those of you that have followed Techmix, you know that we've had a long history with the electrolytes. That started with Blue Light C and Bovine Blue Light, and then advanced into the Replenish family, where that electrolyte is specifically designed for scouring calves and overcoming neonatal calf diarrhea. We took the next step with Replenish, and that being we added those maternally derived bioactives from colostrum to that mixture of the alkalinizing agents, the sodium, the glycine, the different essential things that are necessary for those calves that Replenish contains to make Replenish AB Plus. So, and a lot of research has been done on the power of colostrum given to those calves that are going through a challenge, specifically neonatal calf diarrhea, and the benefits that it has. But when we think about a practical application, a lot of times that's hard to do on farms, right? How much colostrum do I have? How much can I give? What's the quality? And I think this just gives producers a nice, convenient option to feed really high quality colostrum and an electrolyte together. So from an ease of mixing standpoint, from an ease of implementation standpoint, this is much more straightforward. And that's been a great product for us that we've really seen a lot of great adaptation and adoption from our commercial farms or users of that product. And we look for it to continue to grow into 2026 as well. But that's been a really great addition to our portfolio. The second product is also using maternally derived bioactives from colostrum, a term that we call BioFX, but that product is Bovine. And again, one of the great things about Techmix is our innovation is everywhere. It's coming from producers, it's coming from our territory managers, it's coming from industry and academia. So this idea came to us actually through industry. So many drenches exist for those transported calves, and they provide maybe a single nutrient or maybe a probiotic or a DFM. But what we were told is they want a combination. They know that these transported animals have so many needs that are unmet because we bring them in, right, and we put them on a very bland, high forage diet, and it takes them a while to not only find feed, but then for their intakes to ramp up enough to where that they can reach a positive energy balance and get into the swing of things. So we kind of looked at that, and one of the things that we also do is we work with liquids on a regular basis, right? I alluded to that with Replenish. That's a liquid electrolyte, and now Bovine being a liquid. That technology that we utilize to do that is called nutrient-dense liquids, and that allows us to condense solids into a very concentrated form. So Bovine is 60% or greater, 65% solids, and a lot of those drench products that are out there in the market space today are going to be less than 10. So in a same size dose or in an equivalent dose, we can get a lot more of those essential nutrients or supportive materials into that calf in a much more condensed dose, and helping that animal again overcome those challenges with some of those maternally derived bioactives that we get from colostrum, helping add a layer of protection at the gut level to help those animals fight off disease. Again, transportation is an extremely high stress event for our livestock, but it's a part of our production system, right? But those animals are going to go through dehydration, going to go through an energy deprivation period. They're going to go through, you know, an immune challenge, being commingled or combined with other cattle that they haven't been raised with, whether if that's on a sale barn or you know, just animals from different farms. So I think Bovine is really uniquely positioned to really do a lot and address a lot of different needs for that calf, whether that be energy, electrolytes, hydration, probiotics, or immune support that just frankly a lot of drenches out there in the market aren't going to provide.
So how did you go about choosing the bioactives from colostrum to include in the product?
Yeah, so the bioactives from colostrum, the BioFX process, it's kind of tailored to each product, and trying to deliver what, you know, again, that animal needs based on the challenge that it faces. And some of it is not only that, but also a compatibility with the other ingredients that we are putting in the formulation. So they all have to work together. They all have to have a synergy. And you know, again, that's things that we take a lot of time in, not only our developmental process, but our research process, to try to vet out and make sure that we're providing a solution to the problem at hand.
That makes sense. So how do you hope that veterinarians see these products, and how can they be used to improve their day-to-day work?
Yep, absolutely. I think, you know, a couple with respect to the veterinary community, you know, so often, right, our veterinarians get called out to assist with neonatal calf issues. Right now, that may be a multitude of different things, but you know, some of that NOMS data, which I know NOMS is dated, but would suggest that a large contributor to calf mortality, a large contributor towards even respiratory disease, is neonatal calf diarrhea. And how quickly we catch that, how quickly we address that and overcome that. And I think AB Plus is a nice tool in the toolbox, where before, with most electrolytes, we're just talking about rehydration of that animal, but not really able to do anything to directly impact that scours causing antigen. And I think AB Plus allows us for the first time to have a tool that actually allows us to fight the bacteria or fight the viruses that are causing scours, and hopefully shorten that duration and severity of scours, so we get that calf on a road to recovery and improve its productivity. And ultimately, right, is we know so much of lifetime productivity is going to be dictated by early life health events and early life performance, that, you know, I think AB Plus is a tremendous tool, not only for the veterinarian in the moment, but to help those farms overcome challenges that they face every day and ultimately improve their bottom line years down the road. Bovine, in a very similar fashion, right? Beef cattle, dairy cattle, it doesn't matter, right? They've never been worth more than what they are today. And we have to do as much as we possibly can to ensure the health of those animals as they begin to progress through our feeding systems, and, you know, just allowing us to address some of those nutrient needs, some of those nutrient deficiencies that, you know, we are better understanding now, but also with our agriculture system, transportation is a necessary part of it. And so I think with the growing adaptation of technology and things that we have at our disposal, helping those animals overcome that transport stress becomes more and more feasible. You know, and for the veterinary world, I think helping your clients to minimize, obviously, morbidity and mortality is a huge part of our business, not only from a moral standpoint, but from a monetary standpoint. And I think Bovine is really nicely suited to be a good tool in that space, to allow and facilitate the healthier cattle.
Awesome. That's great, Nathan. Thank you so much for joining me. Thanks
You
for
bet.
chatting today.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
I'm here with Mike Ray of IDEXX. Mike, would you like to introduce yourself?
Absolutely. Mike Ray, work for IDEXX Laboratories. We're a company based in Portland, Maine. And, you know, with our whole company, you know, we really want to make sure that we're reaching a combination between pets, people, and livestock.
Oh, I like that.
So, yeah. So in a nutshell, when we look at veterinary medicine, when we first started in the early 80s, we were a small startup company, and now we service 175 countries. So starting with one, actually it was a poultry test. So, we've come a long way, looking at it from what can we do to help not only the veterinarians, but also the industry. So with IDEXX, if we're wanting to really enhance the health and well-being of pets, people, and livestock, the way we can do that is to really branch out and do this worldwide versus just in Portland, Maine.
Can you tell me a bit about the range of products that IDEXX has to offer?
Absolutely. With IDEXX, we're multifaceted. We have a companion animal group, which is mostly small animals, but we also have a water division. So all of the lab testing with PCR and things like that, we actually sell the water to be able to do those tests. We also do different kind of water clarification tests at dairies. The other side, of course, is livestock, poultry, and dairy. So that's one that, with the protein needs in the world today, everyone wants to, they seem to be eating a lot of protein. So, we try our best to come into this looking at it as a way to enhance that and to make it better and make it easier on the veterinarians as a whole to be able to treat them from a diagnosis and a disease standpoint.
Awesome. Now, focusing in on the bovine side of things, what does IDEXX have to offer?
We're a combination. We're looking at disease detection. So, like for instance, BVD, bovine viral diarrhea. It's very costly to producers as well as dairies. So both of those very costly. It's a disease that's actually captured in the calf and through a persistent infection. So those calves will never shed that disease. So on that instance, we've come up with different tests where we can do it chute side or barn side, if you will, and test them. And it takes about 5 minutes. Or you can draw blood with them. Or the best thing to do is do an ear notch.
Yeah.
Do it there in person or send that ear notch to one of our lab services, and we can have the results back in 24 hours. So it just depends on how quick you want those results. Me personally, on my farm, I would rather check it way before it gets to my farm. That way I don't have to worry about it infecting the other cows. Very contagious.
Yes.
And on the dairy side, we're doing a couple of things with on-site pregnancy checks, where instead of ultrasounding, we're not taking the place of the veterinarian. We love veterinarians, but we're not taking the place of them, but it's giving them an option to be able to do sample-based testing. So we draw a blood sample, we can do the test there, an on-farm pregnancy test, get the results in 20 minutes, or we can send that to the lab as well, which we're sending to the lab, they get them back the next day, and they can still sync those cows. So mastitis is the other thing that we're doing big with right now. We have a test out currently that checks 16 different pathogens, which is very detrimental to the dairy business in making sure that those cows are mastitis free, checking for them, treating them. But also it's good for us to make sure that that mastitis cow is not producing the milk that we're drinking today.
Right.
So we check that in bulk tanks to make sure that, hey, we don't have any kind of pathogens in there.
I'm curious about the pathogen detection.
Yeah.
How quickly can you get back a result on that?
24 hours. So, we're able to get that. We're looking at multiple staph organisms. And like there's 16 pathogens. I do not know all 16 off the top of my head
That's
today.
fair.
So I'm sorry. But it is something that the dairies are becoming more and more comfortable with in checking those. It's very costly as well. If the tank gets back and all of a sudden they test it and they find something, the tank has to be cleaned, the milk has to be disposed of, and a gallon of milk is pretty expensive right now.
Okay. So thinking of these products, how are you hoping that they most benefit practicing veterinarians?
A couple of things. The veterinary world right now, there's less large animal veterinarians than there ever has been. Vet schools are graduating 95 to 110 students a year, and it's a very fraction of a small amount of those that are doing large animal.
Right.
It's a lot of work, And it's one of those, we don't have a whole lot of new large animal vets coming out. So what we're looking at is, for instance, like a dairy vet, if that dairy vet is a mixed animal veterinarian and they do small animals some of the time, they do the dairy in the afternoons or vice versa. We're trying to make it easier on them to be able to not have to go out and palpate 200 cows and just have someone draw 200 blood samples, which takes a lot less time, a lot less wear and tear on the veterinarian shoulder by palpating, and then they can be a true consultant. They can come out and work on the foot rot, work on abscesses, work on production, which is the key to a dairy. So they can come out and really do more data mining to find out exactly what's going on with their dairy herd.
Do you have any recommendations for a veterinarian communicating with a producer about the use of these products?
Yeah, the first thing we always like to do, we always talk to the veterinarians first, because it's so important to have that relationship, but to be able to educate the veterinarians. The veterinarians know about BVD, they know about some of the sample-based testing. However, it's something that we still need to educate them even more on sample-based testing, what that looks like, and how that can be an advantage on the farms. Also, those mixed animal veterinarians that do a lot of stockyard work, work in sale barns and stuff like that, the same thing. We're trying to get them to understand when those cows come in, let's go ahead and BVD check them.
Yeah.
Because then you're a consultant, the veterinarian is. The veterinarian's a consultant, they walk through the process, and then at the end of the day, you can probably sell those cows at a little higher premium because you have a BVD-free herd that you're selling. So education's key.
I agree. Do you have anything else that you would like to add to this conversation?
No, that's really about it.
Yeah? Okay,
Yeah.
great. Well, Mike, thank you so much for sitting down and talking
Thank you
with me
so
today.
much.
I appreciate it, and I hope you have a really great rest of your time here at NCBA.
Thank you so much.
I am sitting here with Jessica Newberry of Verbac. Jessica, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, Dr. Jessie Newberry. I am the Associate Director of Marketing and Technical Services for Verbac. So, Southern Missouri girl, grew up in Missouri and practiced a few years and came to Verbac back in 2021.
2021, all right. So tell me about Verbac.
So Verbac entered the U.S. market in 2022 with a generic tulathromycin called Tulicin 100. And then in August of that same year, we brought a generic Enroflox, Tenatril. So although we're new to the U.S., we are number 5 in ruminants globally. So a family-owned company that is based in France and have a huge presence in Latin America, Europe, Asia, and even Australia.
Could you give us an idea of kind of what your product span is?
Absolutely. So we have 2 injectable antibiotics, Tulicin 100 and Tenatril. We also launched last year a new vaccine line called Bovine Platinum Vaccine. Within that, we have a modified live 5-way, Bovine Platinum 5. We added a lepto to it and called that product Bovine Platinum 5L5, which does have protection against Targio bovis. And then we also offer Bovine Platinum 3 and 3LP.
Awesome. Now, I've heard that you have a new study that you'd like to talk about.
We do. So we're super excited because we know with the tulathromycins becoming more economical, more and more cattle are getting injected, and earlier and earlier in life. So, as veterinarians and we start to look at cattle that come into a feed yard that have probably already had at least 1 injection of tulathromycin, what does that do and how does that influence our choice on what antibiotics to use at first treatment of BRD? So one of the things Verbac does is we go out and we do lots of trials on our products. And so this was an obvious choice of a trial for us. So because knowing that there were a lot of questions around the use of tulathromycin for first treatment of BRD after tulathromycin was given at metaphylaxis, this was a good place for Verbac to start a trial. So we went into a 30,000 head yard with a very well-known veterinary group starting in 2024. And we gave metaphylaxis to over 4,400 animals using tulathromycin, Tulicin 100, an injectable solution. And in doing that, we only had 10% BRD treatment rate. So it took us a long time to enroll these animals. But the animals we did enroll were then at first BRD treatment split into groups of either receiving Tulicin 100, so macrolide after macrolide, or enrofloxacin, Tenatrol injectable solution. And then we followed those animals out and looked, hey, what is the retreatment rate? How did they perform all the way through the feeding period? Our secondary reason for doing this trial is we also wanted to look at the antimicrobial resistance. So we took a couple of pins within the study and we did deep pharyngeal nasal swabs on those cattle at arrival, so before they got any antibiotics. And then we swabbed cattle from those same pins again whenever they were diagnosed with BRD, and we looked at the antimicrobial resistance profile. So after all the cattle were enrolled, at the end of the day, we found that there were no benefits or detriments to using either Tulicin 100 or Tenatrol for first BRD treatments after giving Tulicin 100 on metaphylaxis. So this allows our veterinarians to use the product that best fits their profiles and not be as concerned that their animals have received tlathromycin at metaphylaxis. Whenever we looked at the antimicrobial resistance coming in to the yard before they received any injectable antibiotics and what their profile looked like at first treatment of BRD, we didn't see a large difference. So this tells us there was not a huge impact in this set of cattle in this trial from arrival to first BRD after receiving tlathromycin. Unfortunately, it is a field trial. We were unable to really have enough numbers to assess the second impact on second or third treats, but it's something to continue to look into after that.
So is that future research that you have planned?
Potentially, it's very difficult to do this in a trial setting and track those cattle. Thankfully, the first treatment for BRD is very, very successful with both of these products. So the number you would start with would dwindle pretty quickly. So maybe, we'll see.
So can you give me an idea of how Verbac can help veterinary clinics?
Absolutely. So at Verbac, our goal and our motto is to work with practitioners like they did in the good old days, just to have really in-depth customer service and offer an alternative so that they don't have to choose just from a small number of companies, that we're a great alternative to that. The other thing that Verbac brings to practitioners is data. We're a generic company, but we're doing the research, and I think that's quite unique to us.
And I think veterinarians are very science-focused, very data-forward, so I think that's an important thing.
Absolutely.
Well, Jessie, thank you so much for meeting with me today and chatting about Verbac. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me on.
I'm here with Marius Lighhousen of Henkes Wolf. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure, yeah. So thanks for coming by. My name is Marius Lighhousen, as you just said. I'm with Henkes Wolf since about 10 years. I'm a senior product manager for the company. I have a business engineering background, and after college started with Henkes Wolf, and since then I'm in the company in different roles. I started in sales and now moved into a more technical role, especially looking into trends, new trends, product trends that we want to look into, that we need to look into, and starting new projects together with our R&D team and aligning the needs of our customers with them to really make sure that we get cool new products that really help the farmer.
Okay, so as a company, what is your product line like?
Sorry, again? Please.
What is your product line like?
The product line is quite broad. So basically at Henkes Wolf, we do everything that helps you to inject or applicate vaccines or medication into or onto animals. So injectors, but also drenchers for oral application, and pour-on guns for topical application.
Great. Now you have a new product here today that you'd like to talk about?
Yes. So recently it's all about devices in the vaccination market. So we're looking a lot into smart farming. How can we increase transparency at the treatment point? And more and more we see that things are moving away from manual injectors towards devices that are battery driven, having an electric engine, supporting not only the vaccination process itself, but also recording the data of vaccination. Yeah, and this is why we came up with PowerVac. It's our new battery-driven injector. It's called PowerVac because it's a very powerful engine inside. So this device really wanted to make sure that it doesn't slow you down in the job. So compared to a manual injector, it's the benchmark for speed, application speed in the industry. So there are some other powered injectors already there, but they're not as fast as ours. So ours really doesn't slow you down. It injects very quickly. It has a good engine. Still not too heavy though, so it's quite lightweight. It's well balanced in your hand, so still feels comfortable even if you vaccinate many animals.
Can you tell me, just give me an idea of how it works? I know we're looking at it right now. They're not looking at it right now. But can you give me kind of a rundown of it?
So basically, we're looking at a device that has a handle, basically looking a little bit like a power drill device.
Accurate.
It has a cylinder in the front where you can attach a needle. On top of the cylinder, you can attach the vaccine bottle. You can also work with a tube fed setup. So we have according adapters included with the device. If you have bigger vaccine bottles or something like that you don't want to add as additional weight, you can carry them somewhere in your body and then have a tube fed setup in order to decrease the weight. Below the handle, we have the battery case. So there you can insert the 3 battery cells, lithium battery cells that are included with each package. Those batteries, if fully charged, last for up to 10,000 applications. So that should be enough even for the biggest farms. If not, you can also procure those battery cells at Amazon, for example, for around $10. So we wanted to make sure that we have something that is available everywhere. Yeah. What else? It has a 2 ml cylinder mounted right now. We also have a second option with a 5 ml cylinder. So up to 5 ml, you can administer basically any dose. You can adjust the dosage in very small steps, so that whatever you need, you can do. On the back of the device, speaking of adjusting the dose, we have a user interface with a small screen and 2 buttons. Navigating through this user menu of the device is done with the right button, and with the left button you can change settings. So we have different counters in there to make sure you keep track of how many doses you have applied. We have the possibility to adjust the dose, as I mentioned. We have the possibility to set up a vial level indicator. So that means if you have a bottle on top that is not transparent or somehow not visible enough, or if you have a tube fed setup, you can enter the size of this bottle, and the device will warn you as soon as the bottle is nearly empty, so that you don't forget to exchange the bottle before it goes completely empty.
That's smart.
This is a nice function. Then we have a position sensor in the device. So if you are working or vaccinating cattle in a chute, you sometimes have to hold the device sideways instead of upright, and you do not want to reload the device sideways, because that could mean you draw in air instead of vaccine. So the position sensor of the device will recognize if you hold it like this, like sideways. It will wait until you're upright again and only then draw in the new dose, to make sure that you always have a consistent full dose drawn in and then applicated.
Now, what about needle selection? Will they accept any type of needle you're used to working with?
Yes. So in the front we have a standard needle connection. It's a Lure-Lock front part. So this is the globally known standard for needle connection, and any needle size you want to connect, you can connect. You can also connect intranasal nozzles, which are included usually with intranasal products or intranasally applied products. So that is an option as well. So it's very versatile there.
Okay. So how do you see this impacting the day-to-day practice of a veterinarian?
Mainly, it's first of all thought or intended to be a help with especially viscous products, so thick products that are causing a hand strain. If you vaccinate or treat 500, 1,000, 2,000 animals, and you have a very viscous product, it's definitely hurting your hands after some time. So this is the first thought that we had behind it. This is why it's called PowerVac, so the power supports you. The second thing is, if you have, for example, cold winter days, products tend to get more viscous as well. So even in cold conditions, this device will do up to 7,000 applications with one full battery load. So no problems there. And as we talked about, the intranasal application as well is something where you need to apply a lot of force if you do it manually. So here the device is a nice aid as well. So that is regarding support or replacement of the manual movement with your hand that causes hand strain after a long day. This is all resolved by PowerVac. What else? We have a very precise device. So the dosing accuracy with this device is plus minus 3%, which is very precise. It's important, of course, to have a precise dosing in order to make sure that the vaccination is really working. We have also consistent dosing, so it's important as well for your treatment of the cattle that you vaccinate, that you have consistently the same dose. After a long day, you tend to maybe not fully activate or push through a handle on a manual syringe, so you don't apply the full dose anymore. With this device, it cannot happen. So throughout the whole day, you will have the same dose. Yep.
I also think it might help with efficiency with an animal in the chute when you're not taking the time to draw something.
Absolutely, yeah. So here as well, the only thing you need to do is to change the bottles. The drawing up is very quick. The machine that is included is very strong, as I mentioned. So definitely also helps to improve efficiency. You cannot overdose as well, which is another issue that sometimes happens. If you have untrained staff or something like that, they put the wrong dose on the syringe and they use too much product that is not needed. So here again, efficiency and you have a good cost control as well due to that. What else is helpful is, I mentioned the counters that are included with the device. So as a farm owner, farm manager, you definitely are interested in clean vaccination protocols. You want to know how many animals have been treated with what vaccine, by whom, when. All of this is recorded by the device. So you can connect the HSW Connect app with the device via Bluetooth. And after the treatment, you can export all the vaccination data that is stored on the device. And you can add additional data like the caregiver and the vaccine that was administered. You also have a field where you can enter 3 notes. If something popped into your eye and you want to put it in there, and it's saved. All in one protocol that is then able to be exported from your mobile as a CSV or PDF file, so you can also import it into your farm management software.
I like that a lot. So like automated record keeping.
Exactly.
Yeah,
yes.
That's great.
So it's bringing digitalization into the treatment point.
Is there anything new or next, or what's coming down the line for you guys?
We definitely had a lot of people dropping by our booth that asked us about if we can do this with a bigger dose for drenching or pour-on application. So this is a very helpful and insightful feedback that we gathered here over the last days at CattleCon. And we definitely want to look into that. And it totally makes sense because in drenching or pour-on application, you have bigger doses like 30 ml or something like that.
Yeah.
You have sometimes very viscous products. So there you have to apply even more force in order to apply manually a dose to many animals. And yeah, that's certainly one of our next projects to have a powered drencher as well.
All right, awesome. Well, thank you so much for chatting with me today, Marius.
I have one more.
Yep,
I have one
go
more.
for it.
So what else we are looking into at the moment? We have some needle-free devices. Needle-free injection offers several advantages. First of all, you do not have cross-contamination between the animals because usually you inject several animals with the same needle. And second of all, and most importantly, you have no needle stick injuries anymore. So you cannot, or the risk is much reduced. So needle-free devices currently are available from Henke Wolf for piglets and pigs, but not yet for cattle. We have already started working on studies. So we have done few trials with needle-free technology in cattle, and it looks quite promising that we can come up with something quite soon. Because that is another point that many visitors at our booth asked about. How is it, because they see needle-free devices at our booth, how is it with needle-free devices for cattle? So
Yeah.
that's what we tell them. We are going to soon come up with something
Coming
that helps
down
them.
the line.
Yes, exactly.
Sounds great. Did you have anything else you want to add?
That's it.
That's it. All right, awesome. Thank you so much for talking with me. I hope the rest of your CattleCon is excellent.
Thank you for coming by, and thank you for having the opportunity to speak on your podcast.
Of course.
You've been listening to live coverage from CattleCon 2026. Make sure to tune in for a new episode of the Bovine Vet Podcast on March 3rd, where we're talking about genetic testing for replacement heifers. You can find that episode on farmjournaltv.com or wherever you get your favorite podcasts. Until next time, I'm Andrea Bedford.
Thanks for joining us. We'll see you again soon for another new episode of the Bovine Vet Podcast. Be sure to like and subscribe. And remember, all episodes are available on Farm Journal TV and anywhere podcasts are found.